Hi, in this video, I will show you how to create an Instagram clone using Ionic Vue. This is the latest template from my Ionic Vue Templates available on GitHub. I will leave the links in the description. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to go through the basic setting up of an Ionic Vue project. I will just assume you already know how to at least start an Ionic Vue project from scratch. And this is just purely around Instagram and the layout. So as you can see here, this is the app. It has the header, the stories, the timeline, and the navigation tabs. Second page is the profile page. So pretty much the norm here. And then you can click here to see all the pictures that people tagged you, or click here to see your pictures. By default, it's always on the first tab. So going back to the home page, here you can also click like or unlike a picture. You can double click to like a picture as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I will try maybe to add all these other pages, but for now I'm just working with two pages, which is the home and the profile page. Okay, so firstly, let's look at the home page. I have a timeline.vue file where it's pretty much all there is for the home page. So the first section is the header section, which is the logo and the three icons on the right. The logo is an image which is sitting in assets, images, and then the logo. And then next up, it's the buttons on the right hand side. All these buttons I'm using the Ionic icons, which you can import from ionicons/icons. And then that's it with the header. The next section is the main content area. The main content area is anything below the header, starting with stories. For stories, I'm using a separate component which is not in the main file. That component is in components folder. So this component is accepting one prop data, and the way to pass the prop data is this syntax here. So it's the name of your prop and the value. That then comes, the data is then sent to the component, and here I have my prop definition saying, okay, I'm expecting a prop called data. It must be of type array is required, and the default is a blank array. So this is in an event where there's a delay between the component being rendered and the data being passed through. So getting the data from the parent, then I'm using ion slider Ionic component for this effect, to achieve this kind of effect. This is then looping through my data that I received from my parent, and then is creating an ion slide for each record in that array. And then it's pretty much just displaying the image with a specific width and using the ion card component for just the layout of each story. It has the name and the last name, but my records don't have last name, so I don't think the name is the last name is actually used in this case. And then it's just the CSS, just making sure things are the right shape and with the, when you haven't read a story, so Instagram has these red borders around a picture if there's a story that you haven't seen. And then that's pretty much the CSS for that. So if I remove this, then it looks like that. So yeah, going back to the main page, then you have the posts, the timeline content itself. That is then made up of this section here. So also this is coming from my data store. So both stories and posts coming from my data store, which is using Vuex for that. Then I'm looping through each record, and then first off, it's the profile picture of the author, which is the person who posted that picture, along with the name. So that is this part here. Next up, we have the post, the image post. That is the picture you see on your timeline. And then the next section is the reactions. Those are for liking, commenting, or sending the post to someone else. For now, only the like button is working. I haven't done any of these two. The reactions is also a separate component which I am importing from components and then the component name, and that is reactions. The file is called reactions.vue. So reactions is expecting prop data called like post. This is passing the boolean true or false to check if the post is liked or not, so that I can update the icon and the background of the icon. If you click like, first it will do a solid background, and then it will change that background to red. The solid background is I'm just toggling between the outline icon and the solid icon. Then I'm also passing an event called like function, and this one is then emitted back to the parent when like is clicked. So it then emits this event, and then it passes the updated value back to the parent. So I'm sending that back to the parent. And then on the parent, okay, maybe I should close this because now things are very squeezed in. So you emit this value passing, you emit this event passing the value, and then the parent will then update like post data. I just like naming things the same throughout. So if my prop name is like event, the value, if the prop name is like post, the value will be like post. Same with my events. If the event is like click, my value will be like click. That helps me track what is what, because sometimes if I rename things slightly differently, well, at least for me, it's easy to lose track of what is what. So I know if I'm tracking the like click, then I'm just looking at all the like click variable names on my child component. So yeah, that is the reactions component. Also, another thing with the reactions component is you are able to double click on a post if you want to use that option, or you can just use the icon itself. So the tricky thing here is you have to know that you have to track if one is the like clicked. If not, then disable double clicking on the picture. If the like is not clicked, then enable double clicking on the picture, so that the like button can change colors. And for that, I'm using on the image itself now, which is here. I have this click here, which is just how I do the double click is once that button is clicked once, then I'm using a set timeout to check, okay, after 400 milliseconds, check if that button is clicked or not. if that button is clicked twice within that 400 milliseconds, then we detect that as a double click. If it's clicked once, then that's one click. That's why you are able to click once and then the like button doesn't change, but if you click twice, the like button changes. So yeah, that's just another, this one here and like function pretty much do the same thing. And why am I saying function? Sorry. And like click. I guess it is a function. So, but these two are then tracking the same value, which is like post, and then updating it accordingly. Yeah. And then below the reactions is pretty much now where the description comes in and the number of likes for a post. So that is then this ion card header component. This is then split into, there's the like, which is the number of likes, and yeah, so this is a view if. So if the likes are greater than 0, then display number plus likes. For example, this Snoop Dogg post has all these likes, so then it will display that amount and the likes. And then the next post does not have likes, so then don't display this at all. Otherwise, we'll end up with a situation where it will just say likes when there are no likes, when the post is not liked yet. So that if statement is just to check if they are, what am I doing? Okay. So that is just to track if there are likes, then display 10 likes or 100 likes and so on. Next up, we have the author and the description. These are just wrapped into one div and then just target the span to style the description slightly different from the author. Because you'll notice this one is bold and this one is just not really, just normal text. Yeah, and that's pretty much it with the timeline. All of these are the same because, well, it's the same set of divs and ionic elements because I'm wrapping everything in a for loop and then using the ion card, and then just it just then prints out all these different posts here. Now let's look at how I pass data from the store, Vuex store, to my component. Let's see, inside store you'll find index.js, which has my create store. This is the basic structure of a Vuex store, which is state, getters, mutations, and actions. And these is where my data is for post and for stories. Stories is just the name and the location of the image. And the post is the name, image, ID, likes, description. To access the data on the page, then I'm using computed functions. Stories has a corresponding function called stories, and post has a corresponding called post. That's just my naming convention, so I don't get confused into what is what. For me, I find this easier. Someone else might have a different preference. So then I use these variables in my template for posts. So now it's looping all of this data. It's going through all of that data and then displaying each record. Same with my stories, where after assigning it to the prop variable, then it will go through each record and then display each record. And that's pretty much how I create my store and accessing that data. The profile page. Profile page is divided into the header, which is the part where your handle or your username, and then it's the main content section, which starts with the grid. This grid is just to display this information here. So it's the numbers and your profile picture. For that, I'm using Ion Grid, and which use Ion Row and then columns. And then these are the columns that give you this layout here. Then directly below that, you have the information, profile information section. This is where you have your name, your description, and maybe you'll see some profiles have links to their websites and so on. So this is where all that information goes. And then you have the edit profile button if you want to edit your profile, but it's not working for the purpose of this video. Maybe if I do a follow-up videos, I might get into that. And then the next block of code is the tabs. This is the first. By default, it always shows your main pictures, the pictures you uploaded. And then if you click on this one, that will show you the pictures you were tagged in. So you just toggle between the two, and then it shows the different group of pictures. The grid, which is these white blocks here, for that I'm using again Ion Grid, and then if toggle tab is 1, meaning if the default is this one, and then I show this grid with all these pictures, and then if toggle tab is 2, I show this grid. This is a bit of a cheat because you can do this with Ion tabs. Yeah, so you can just do Ionic tabs and then it'll pretty much do this thing. But I always use this option. I find working with Ionic tabs very difficult if it's not like in the footer or some sort of a header navigation. So anything inside the main content, I don't use Ionic tabs because it's just making it like display here like this was such a mission. So I ended up using my sort of quick workaround, which is this tab switch. So when by default I'm passing 1, and then if just toggling between the two, and then it's gonna be, if it's 1 then it shows this one, if it's 2 then it shows this one when you click on the different icons. So this is just a quick workaround for me to, while I'm still trying to figure out how exactly to work with the Ionic tabs, because yeah, it's a struggle working with Ionic tabs anywhere inside the main content area. So if there are some good examples out there on how one achieves that, please let me know, and then I'll look into it, because it's something I'm trying to know and do properly. But yeah, for now it's just it's a mission. So yeah, that's pretty much the profile page. This one is less complex and just a pretty much standard grid system. This is it for this tutorial. For the most part, there was a lot of work put in the CSS and making sure things are looking as close as possible to the real app. And like, yeah, there was a lot of time spent styling things. But yeah, that you can, I'm not going to go through the styling for this one. You can just get the project on GitHub and go through it in detail yourself. And hopefully you find this useful. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed my very first tutorial. I've been thinking about this for a long time and finally got the guts to do it. Yeah, catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.